Hey guys, it's Con Hollywood Studios here, and welcome to a video called Ace's Takes, where we sit here and talk with Ace, and he just talks about amusement parks, his passion. So Ace, go right ahead.
Okay. First park I like to talk about is Cedar Point, known as the greatest park in the world, always voted number one. Cedar Point's a great park. Obviously it has 17 roller coasters, and they have a crazy big four of Steel Vengeance, Millennium Force, Maverick, and Top Tour Dragster. It's a pretty good park. You know, you got any questions about Cedar Point?
So how many times have you been to Cedar Point
You talking about this year or overall?
overall?
I started going to Cedar Point in 2008. I would have to say I've been to Cedar Point at least over 30 times in the last 13 years because I used to go well, one trip is, oh, okay, so one trip will count as probably two visits because I've stayed there for 2 days. So probably like 30 or 40 times at least. Every time I go to Cedar Point, I visit at least two or three times,
hmm
including Costa Mania. So
So how do you, what's your way that you get yourself out to Cedar Point? Like, how do you structure the trip?
I structured a trip around going to Kings Island also. I plan ahead, make sure I can go there on the week, and I go to usually Kings Island first and then go to Cedar Point afterward. So I drive out there, make it a nice long road trip.
hmm
It's like a 5 or 6 day road trip with the Costa Mania included. So I
Yeah.
like to do get it all done in once. So that's how I structure it.
What's your favorite coaster at Cedar Point?
Uh, it's between Still Vengeance and Millennium Force and Maverick. I would have to take Still Vengeance because I love RMCs and Still Vengeance is just insanely great.
hmm
Yeah, it's Still Vengeance just blows everything away. It's definitely something that has met everybody's or exceeded everybody's expectations of a coaster. So I'm really happy to say it's better than what I thought it would be. It looked crazy in the beginning, but even the second half, I didn't know it was going to be that great, just like the first half. It's sick. What an insane coaster. And then, of course, Maverick and Millennium Force will be the other two or three, in that top three list. It's a tough one. Three great coasters at Cedar Point. Yeah.
So what about Kings Island?
Kings Island's a great park. I know I'm going to sound insane saying this. Kings Island's operations are better than Cedar Point, and it's easier to get around because even though it's bigger, larger than Cedar Point, it's made like Great Adventure, like a circle, which I love. You don't have to go from one end to the other, and all the roller coasters are right there. Like when you look at one side of the park, you basically have the biggest coasters, excluding Banshee, on the far end of the park with the Beast, Mystic Timbers, Diamondback, and Orion. So you got four of the big five right there. I love it. So if you want to go tag one coaster to the other, to get as many rides in, it's the best park to go to. And I like the theming and the landscaping. The scenery is greater because they have a lot of trees, and all of the roller coasters go through the trees, most of them, and terrain, which is awesome. It's a lot of land. And Kings, I like Kings Island's operations better, but obviously Cedar Point's better with the coasters. But sooner or later, Kings Island's going to tie Cedar Point if they get another big coaster because they're up there, Kings Island.
What do you think
Great
Kings
park.
Island's next big coaster is going to be?
I'm guessing Kings Island's next big coaster should be a Blitz because that's what they're lacking. An Intamin or Bacoma Blitz, that'd be nice to go right in where Vortex, the Arrow custom looper used to be at. It can have it go around that spot. Or maybe it would be so cool if it goes through Orion because there's a lot of land behind Orion.
hmm
So they have a lot of options. Or they could just put it behind where Son of Beast used to be at because when you look at the Banshee coaster that replaced Son of Beast, they only took like a third to 40% of the land that once occupied Son of Beast. So there's a lot of land back there. That, of course, is on the stretches of where the bat is at, too. So there's a lot of land. Those are two great areas to put the new coasters. But they probably will get a new coaster by 23 or 24, I'm guessing.
Do you think Son of Beast is ever going to come back in some form?
That'll be nice if it comes back in the next coast. So sure, I'll be welcome. I'll welcome it greatly. That'd be great. Just like what they did with Colossus and they turned it into Twisted Colossus. That'd be nice to pay tribute to it. Because you only have a headstone and the entrance of Banshee. So it would be nice if they could commemorate the name on the new coaster, Son of Beast. That'd be cool. I would have loved to have ridden Son of Beast, but unfortunately, it was way before my time of going out to these long road trips to Ohio, in which I started in 2015 because of Fury coming out. So that's when I did Kings Island and Carowinds for the first time. So
Speaking of your big road trips, I know a lot of people in the community are never really able to pull off big trips, and there's always a lot
Mhm.
of constraints. But you're always able to do a ton of them multiple times a year. How do you do it?
Yeah. Excuse me. What I do is I plan out in advance. Like right now, I'm already planning for Cedar Point, give you a perfect example. And all I got to do is put in reservations for the rental. And then I could just, once the calendar comes in for the new year, I can see which parks are open during the week. If it's open during the week, then that's game on. And then I could put it together and synchronize everything. It's tough, but I do it. It's best to do it in May when the hours extend to like summer hours. Those are the normal times for it to expand, which is much better. It makes it easier as opposed to just having the weekends, which is virtually impossible to do road trips when you only have Saturday and Sunday or Saturday and Sunday in which the parks are operating. So I usually do it on the time. Try not to do peak season, but I try to do when it's like the beginning stretches of the season, like in May sometime, mid-May. That's how I do it. Just like I did my Ohio trip for Kings Island and Cedar Point for Costa Mania. So, and give you a perfect example, when I had the vehicle for a month, I did the Ohio and the triple Missouri trip. I say triple Missouri because I did three of the huge Missouri theme parks. First and foremost, Silver Dollar City, and I did Canada. Excuse me, I did Worlds of Fun. So I did Silver Dollar City. Then I did Worlds of Fun in the same day, and then I drove over in the final day. I gave a whole day, dedicated a whole day, of course, to Six Flags St. Louis before I headed to Cedar Point, because that was the first day of opening for Cedar Point back in 2020, because it opened in July. So the pandemic has made it really difficult, but I've gotten it done. So it takes a lot of sacrifice. Like some parks, I have to take away time for the other. Like Six Flags Over Georgia, I had to take away time from that just to do Carowinds. And then you had the short hours, which made things so difficult. And it was just more of a hindrance and nuisance the last couple of years. So let's hope 22 will be a much better year and back to normal, because I really miss my extended hours at all the parks, staying open to 8, 9, and 10. I don't like the 7 o'clock closing time. It just takes away a lot of rides and makes you have to rush around. I like taking my time at the park like y'all got you and your father do. So that's how I do it. So it is pretty taxing and stressing, but it's worth it at the end of the day to get all these parks in at once. So, but I'm trying to make it easier on myself. Trying to stay longer or making the road trips longer as opposed to shorter, like I traditionally that I've done in the last 7 to 8 years. Because after all, I am driving to most of these trips, so it's pretty tough. But at the end of the day, it's worth it. Yeah.
So whenever you're going to the Ohio parks, what do you think is the best way to like tie it all together? Like, are there parks in between that you try to hit? Like, how do you maximize everything?
Oh, what I do is just like going to Hershey Park and Donny Park and Great Adventure the same day. I go to the park that opens earlier. So, for example, I got the Sweet Start at Hershey. I would go to Hershey Park first. Then I would go to Donny Park because I know it's a small park, and then Great Adventure because it closed at 10. Normal circumstance, like in 2019. Now, as for Ohio, what I would do is I would take the I-80 and I would go to whatever parks within the vicinity like Wardemere, and then might as well knock out the small parks first before we do the best park. Save the best for last. So I would do Wardemere first. I call it the getaway day. So let's say a Sunday next year is what I want to do. Go to Wardemere first, then go to Michigan's Adventure, and then from there go from Michigan's Adventure down to Kings Island. At least have 2 days at Kings Island and 2 days at Cedar Point. So maybe 2.5. You know, I'll let it spread. That all depends on what happens with the weather and everything. So try to get it definitely 2 days for Kings Island, definitely 2+ days at Cedar Point. So if 2 is good, just like I did this year, 2 days at Kings Island and 2 days at Cedar Point. So that's how I do it. As long as I have the schedule in front of me and the parks are open, then I could do it. Because you give me 6 days, I could definitely do that. You know, because I don't mind having to drive 15 hours in a day. You know, I just spread it out. It's not, if I'm well rested, I'll do it. So, which isn't too bad. Just, you know, you want to knock out the hardest part first. Then it gets easier. Once you get to Kings Island, it's only a 3 hour and 40-minute drive from Mason, Ohio to Sandusky, Cedar Point. So those two parks. So I've been doing it for years. I actually just started doing Kings Island, Cedar Point consistently, I believe in 18 and 19. Because if I'm doing Cedar Point, I have to do Kings Island. Because you know how great Kings Island is. It's impressive. What a great park. One of my favorite parks of all time. I think it's definitely up there when it comes to like aesthetics and everything. I think it's the best park. If you talk, oh, you know what? Actually, it's up there with Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, and Dollywood. I should be in the top 5 for most beautiful parks. I think so. Yeah, I think yeah. Yeah. Just love talking about Kings Island. It's pretty cool. Yeah. Might as well show my Superman shirt. One of the best coasters in the country, in the world. Top 5. I love St. Louis. I've been there twice in the last 6 years, 2015 and 2020. Yeah, I love that park. Got so much land to expand. They really do. They can do a lot out there with that land. You saw that land they have?
Yeah.
They have a lot of land out there. It's impressive. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.